Everyone's talking about them. Everyone. We made it down to the Rick Leach, Marcus Ray, and I made it down to the Tigers game for the because we put the Tigers suite up for a bid in the Softball Academy auction, right? So it was fundraisers. So many of the fans that donated to the Softball Academy, we went to the Tigers game with them on Saturday. We saw Desmond Howard down there. He had taken his boys to the Super Regional game. Mitch McGarry was out there.
He played drums with the band.
Yeah, Mitch McGarry was out there. Everyone's talking about the ride that the Michigan softball team is taking every Michigan fan and Michigan alum on, and it picks up again tonight in the World Series. And joining us to talk about that right now, live from Oklahoma City, is the coach of that team, Carol Hutchins. Hutch, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Hutch, I'm sorry that we're getting you so early in the morning, but we appreciate you joining us as always. As everyone around here is on cloud nine. Can't wait for the game, and really, really looking forward to it. Before we get into the here and now, I want to go back to last week because that was a thrill ride as well for Michigan fans everywhere. Starting with the first night, Georgia, they outstanding team. They had some, good hitting, good pitching. And I got to tell you, Coach, after the first strikeout, after CeeLo went down, we're thinking, okay, this is going to be a tight one. And then from that point on, wow, and a first inning explosion that really was the story of the game.
Well, it really was, and you always expect, especially this time of year, a tight game. The higher you climb, the tighter you expect it to be. But Christner's home run just, I think, it electrified everybody. And honestly, I think it definitely put the Georgia pitching staff on their heels. And then, they walked us, they hit us, and we just had a long inning. And there's nothing you can hope for more than a long first inning.
Yeah, and a couple of innings later, you put up another, 4 or 5 spot. It was just, like you said, you put them on notice. They had issues in the field, all kind of errors, and you took advantage of them and took them out in that contest, and went on to the victory. So then after that 10-3 win, Coach, you get in the next game, it's inevitable. They're going to play better in that next game. Now, as novices like we are, Coach, we're trying to play armchair coach and trying to figure out what you were going to do as far as pitching was concerned. The week before, you went Betza, Wagner, and we were wondering if you were going to do that again or were you going to go straight to Haley. You went back to Betza in that contest. And then it was very quickly, though, you made the switch. Just kind of take us into your thought process heading into that game and then once the game started.
Well, I think the biggest reason that we would start Betza is she's a strikeout pitcher, and they're dangerous. And I really strikeouts are your best defense. And, she's our best pitcher when it comes to that. She can strike people out. So I think, though, you got to understand what goes through a pitcher's head is this team just saw me for 7 innings. I'm going to have to pitch better. Mm-hmm. And I think she felt that a little bit because she laid a few in there. And, of course, as great a strikeout pitcher as she is, because she keeps the ball up, when it doesn't reach its destination, it can get parked. And so she gave up a couple first-inning home runs and just looked like she obviously wasn't in her game. She wasn't throwing it by him. She wasn't spinning it well. And we're down 3-0 and called on Haley, who came in, and I couldn't have asked for more from her than to keep us in the game for 6 innings. And we all believed that our offense could fire our way back.
Coach, I mean, it was I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you that was maybe one of the most exciting performances of the season from a fan perspective for me, watching her respond to the challenge, because you very clearly laid out that challenge for her the week prior. You talked about it here on the air and said you wanted her to have that chip on her shoulder, and it certainly looked like she had that when she stepped out in the circle.
I think she did. I think she, every kid you want to believe wants the ball. And when she didn't get it to start the game, when she did finally get it, she was going to go out there and prove why she should have it. And that couldn't have, it ended up working out exactly the way you would write the story. So she did her part. Things got a little dicey there late in the game. And, again, getting Alex Hugo out there in the 7th inning was just huge, because that kid goes up there to hit a home run every time she goes to the plate, and striking her out was just one of the biggest outs there is. And even though they came up and hit a home run the next pitch, we're still, home run can often be a rally killer. Mm-hmm. But we just knew we needed to get out of that inning with one more run than them. And Betsy came back in. She was really excited to go in the game. I gave her the look and said, this will be her last batter. Because if this game isn't over, you're going in. And so that kid got a hit, and I hadn't even turned, and she's running to the field. So I said, well, I guess she's ready to go.
Right.
Put her in. It was awesome.
Now, Coach, so Hutch, you also decided to bat Haley, and she answered the bell there too, hitting a home run. I mean, it was a storybook thing. I know the season isn't over, but it was like, wow, you just felt really good for how she was doing. So she hits the home run, she comes across third base, and you're like, yeah, good job, Haley. And then as soon as she passes you, you're like, calm her down. What did you kind of take us through that moment?
Well, first of all, we all know what the home run trot looks like, and she was sprinting around the bases, and she was just so excited. And the last thing you want is her to come out and start winging it over the backstop, because she's just so amped up. And kids do; they get really excited, and we have to calm them down all the time. I mean, night one, I thought our kids in the dugout, and we hit home runs, and we were, kids crossing the plate, and they were just going crazy. And I certainly appreciate their energy, but you just don't want them to go, over the edge and lose their focus. So in the case with Haley, when we put her in the game, we put her in the DP spot. So I had to put her in for Aiden Falk. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do that because I didn't want Aiden to hit. But this way, if I re-entered Betsa, and like in the 7th inning, I re-entered Betsa, Haley's still in the game, so we haven't burned her. Because if I re-enter Betsa and it doesn't work, I still have Haley available. Because if I burn her, it is what it is. So that was really, as I mentioned it, I know on TV, it was a pitching move, and it was a strategic move to make sure that we could essentially use 4 pitchers in the game.
It's called coaching, Ira.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of little things add up to getting wins, and we talk about the pitching, we can talk about the hits, and obviously your team has been bashing the ball all over the place. But there's also the defensive side of things, where the defense has been pretty solid. And one play in particular, Lauren Sweet blocking the plate, that keeps a run away. All those little things kind of add up. Talk about Lauren's play behind the plate.
Well, it was a big play. It was a great play by Haley. We practice that all the time. Simply, short plays to the plate, whether they're squeeze bunts or swinging bunts, as we call them sometimes. And I thought Haley just read it. She saw the kid out of the corner of her eye and just did what she's practice doing every day of her life, which is just come up and toss it home. And again, Sweet practice blocking the plate every day. So, but it was big, and you never know. We tell our kids this all the time. You never know which run is going to be the one that matters. Whether it's Haley's home run, whether Haley throwing the kid out the plate, but we won the game by 1 run, and that's all it takes to be the winner. But you got to treat every run like it's gold, whether it's for you or against you. You got to treat it like it's the most important thing in the world.
All right, so, Coach, we're talking to Michigan softball coach Carol Hutchins here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050, WTKA, online at WTKA.com. So let's talk about tonight's opponent. Let's talk about your side of the bracket, kind of starting with tonight's opponent, Alabama. Tell us about what the Crimson Tide brings to the table.
Well, we saw them twice in February, and we beat them twice in February down there. We went to Tuscaloosa, and I think they're a much improved team. They are going with they're pitching heavily. Their freshman pitcher, Alexis Osorio, and she's a spin pitcher. She's a movement pitcher. She's actually comparable to Betsa. She's very similar to Betsa. And in February, you could tell they were just trying to get a feel for what their team was going to be, and they had just lost their 4-year All-American, Jackie Trina. But they have arguably one of the best players in the country in their center fielder, Aiden McClenny. And Patty Gasso from Oklahoma, who Alabama beat to get here, literally said that McClenny stole the game. Because McClenny makes, if you hit it anywhere near her, and I mean in the same zip code, that kid's going to make the play. She can roam from left to right, and she's really an X factor. She often bats leadoff for them. I'm pretty sure they have her batting third right now. She can bash it. She's fast. She can put in play, dump and run. She's a dangerous player. But they're just really a solid team, and they've got good hitters through the lineup. With Jaden Spencer's Jaden Spencer's hitting 3. Park it over the fence, and of course their third baseman Marissa Runyon was 0 for 13 in their super regional, and came up and hit the game-winning grand slam in the bottom of the 6th inning. So they're a team that always believes. They're really well coached. They're a really tight-knit bunch, and honestly, they just remind me a lot of Michigan. They just play together, and they play for the school on the front of their chest. They're a tough team to play because they never quit. And as I said yesterday in the press conference, they're a team. I really like them. I like those kids a lot. I love watching them play. I like their coach. So it's a great matchup. I really believe this is going to be a great game.
Yeah, Coach, and again, I hear you say it all the time. Really, your focus is your team. What you do, play softball, not the opponent. And so it is. I know that that's still the case, even as you face Alabama. I'm curious, what, if any, intel you can provide the fans, the listeners, on UCLA and Oregon. One of the things we've heard about Oregon is that if a team outside of the SEC that's not Michigan that is really looked to maybe win this whole thing, a lot of people are looking at Oregon.
Well, again, Oregon's a really balanced team. They've got great pitching in Sheridan Hawkins. They've got a big old lefty who can spin it, and she spins it right past your bat. And then they can club the ball 1 through 9. They can hit. They can hit. They've got one of the freshman of the year candidates in Jenna Lilly, their third baseman, who's a kid from Ohio. They're very talented, and they've been knocking at the door for a few years. So people have been talking about Oregon for a couple of years. We saw them 2 years ago when Sheridan was a freshman, and she didn't start, but she finished the game against us. And they're one of the few schools. We don't get run ruled very often. We get run ruled maybe once a year, and they clubbed us. I think the score was 10-2 or something. So they're a tough team, but UCLA is the tradition of UCLA is enormous, and they haven't been to the World Series in 5 years, which is the biggest drought they've probably ever had. They are pretty hungry to get back, and they're a really talented club as well. They can hit the ball, so that's going to be a pretty great matchup tonight. I'll enjoy watching that game.
Well, Coach, we've gotten so many messages this morning saying, tell Hutch I said good luck. I mean, from so many people, too many people to send along good wishes from. Just all we can say is everyone is rooting for you. Everyone is wishing you great luck. So good luck tonight. Good luck this weekend. And let's talk again next week.
Well, I appreciate everybody supporting Ann Arbor. Next, I'm sure our kids are going to do the best they can, and they're playing for their school. So we appreciate everybody very much. We appreciate everybody out there at Super Regional. It was awesome.
All right, Hutch. Thanks a lot. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right. That was Carol Hutchins. You got to give Hutch a ton of credit. It's an hour earlier. She got up just to come on the air with us to talk to you guys. So
she's the best.
She is absolutely the best. Absolutely the best. Love Hutch. 9:01 on a Thursday. When we come back on the other side, so there's so much to get into. We're going to get educated on just what all this FIFA stuff is all about. I mean, it's supposed to be this big scandal, Ira.
Yeah, I know, but water is wet. Before we go, though, of course, we want to remind everybody that Carol Hutchins' appearances on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, as always, are brought to you by Advantage Sports. Advantage Sports, your home for baseball, softball, football, hockey, soccer, volleyball, lacrosse, field hockey, equipment, and apparel. They carry all the top brands, including Rawlings, Easton, Mizuno, Wilson, and more. And they have over 6,000 square feet of training facilities. They can service all of your high school, college, or travel teams' needs. Advantage Sports is located at 2019 West Stadium Boulevard in Ann Arbor and online at catchtheadvantage.com. And Sam, they decided they were having so much success with it that our friends at Advantage Sports decided to continue their sale through this weekend. So we talked about it last week. We'll tell you about it again, that through this weekend, their diamond sale is going on. You can save up to 50% on everything baseball and softball. That includes bats, gloves, protective equipment, and apparel. That's through this weekend. It was supposed to just be last week, and they are extending it through this weekend. So check them out online at catchtheadvantage.com. And, of course, go visit them at their store, 2019 West Stadium Boulevard in Ann Arbor.